Hi, it's life coach and licensed therapist Robin May. And have you heard that I am getting ready to start what I'm calling the summer camp for Christian wives? And I just want to give a few of you a taste of what's going to happen within this program. This is going to be a conversation today on communication. And I am going to share the 3 mistakes that women make when it comes to communicating with their spouse and the 3 mistakes men make. Now, this is an abbreviated version of these mistakes. I go into great depth in my course called the Can You Hear Me Now communication course, but I wanted to help you understand a little bit about communication in marriage. And so I have some notes in front of me to make sure I keep this short and sweet. Let's dive into very quickly the 3 mistakes that women make when it comes to communicating with their spouse. Number 1, ladies, you're not going to like this, but the first mistake you are making is you're wanting him to get it the way you get it. You're wanting him to see it the way you see it. And I can tell you this is definitely one of the things that happens in my marriage, because I want my husband to understand it, see it, agree with it the way I understand it and agree with it. And often you are missing the point. Sis, what you really want is for him to be empathetic. What you really want is for him to be understanding. What you're really wanting is to feel validated. You can get all of that even if he doesn't see the situation the way you see it. We are different for a reason. We have different experiences and we have different perspectives. And if you're spending so much time trying to get him to see it the way you see it, you may be missing the point. The second mistake that so many of us make as women when communicating with our spouse is that, girl, we are giving way too many details, particularly when we're working through an issue. When I'm working with women one-on-one, particularly on the topic of their marriage, I'm often saying, okay, wait a minute. Let's boil this down to the 2 or 3 concerns you may have. And even those 2 or 3 concerns, girl, we piecemeal it over time. And again, this is not something to be frustrated about. Well, that's not fair. You can be frustrated, but it may not be an issue specifically with your husband. This is why community is so important. When you can get around some other like-minded women who can tell you, girl, that's my husband too, it helps you not feel so crazy. And so often we're giving way too many details. And girl, by the time you have finished with detail number 5, you have gone down. If you live in Atlanta, you have gone down 20, gotten on 285, gone around the block, and he's still in your neighborhood. You're giving way too many details, sis. You got to narrow it down. And the third mistake we often make, and I'm going to spend some time with this one. The third mistake we often make when communicating with our husbands is that we are misreading his silence. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, nah, Robin, he's just rude. He is just downright rude. And he may be, girl. He may be. I'm going to give you that. He may be rude. Or you may be misreading his silence. Now, I do want to say this for any of the fellas who may be listening, waiting to get to your part. There is a term called stonewalling. And a lot of researchers have found that stonewalling is one of the indicators of a future divorce. That's when you cut off the emotional oxygen of your spouse, your husband, or your wife. Stonewalling is you give nothing. That's not what I'm talking about here. But often we do misread or judge our husband's silence. There are 3 reasons he may be being silent. Let's just say he's not stonewalling. Let's say he's not trying to be rude. There may be 3 reasons he is silent. Number 1, you've shared so much, he's still trying to process it. Remember, we are wired differently. Number 2, I have heard this from so many men, including my husband, that often they are silent because they are trying to avoid landmines. Girl, he don't know if he says what he really wants to say, how you're going to respond, and he's trying to avoid confrontation. And the third reason that I have heard them tell me, them being the men, that they are silent is that they're having a hard time articulating what they really mean. And they don't want to say the wrong thing, and it's not clearly communicating what they're trying to say. So give him some grace, girl. That might be why he is silent. All right, fellas, it is your turn. I want to share with you very quickly the 3 mistakes you just may be making when it comes to communicating with your spouse. Here is mistake number 1 that men make. You are wanting her to communicate in a singular fashion instead of a plural fashion. What do I mean? You're wanting her to communicate just this one thing. But friend, what I want you to understand when it comes to your wife, she's not just thinking about that one thing. That one thing has 10 to 12 different tentacles to them, right? There's so many other things going on. Here's the example I often give. Let's say my husband says, babe, we are going on vacation and I just want to surprise you. Listen, that sounds great. But see, what I'm thinking about is, what do I need to do about my hair? Is this somewhere my hair going to get wet? And is my hair going to get sweated out? What's going to be going on with the girls? And while they are gone, is somebody going to be taking care of their hair? Okay, but wait a minute. I have to make sure I'm getting to that appointment next week. I have all these things going on in my head. So while he may have the best intention, that singular concept has so many other things that I'm thinking about. And if you are trying to force her into thinking from a singular perspective, you may be shutting her down, and that's not your intention. Here's the second mistake that men often make. You are forcing a monologue instead of encouraging a dialogue. Okay. Have you ever said to your wife, baby, I heard you the first time, you just keep talking and talking? That's just my husband who says that to me. Well, often I just keep talking and talking and talking because you ain't saying nothing. And so clearly you're not understanding. Clearly I need to keep talking so that you can get what I'm trying to put down, because you aren't responding. You are forcing a monologue instead of participating or encouraging a dialogue. Just giving her something may cut off all the things she is saying. And here's the third mistake men often make when it comes to communicating. You are not sharing your heart with your wife. All right, let me break this down for you. Most of us, as in us women, we just want to have access to your heart. The Bible actually says the heart of her husband safely trusts her. And so when I'm working with my ladies, I am working with them to make sure that their husband can trust them with his heart. But fellas, when you don't share your heart with your wife, it leaves her feeling uneasy and disconnected from you. She wants to know what you're feeling. She wants to know what you're thinking. And don't let her hear you share openly with other people and you're not sharing openly with her. Give her access to your heart. So much more will come from that if you can do that one strategy. All right, y'all, those are the 3 mistakes that men make, 3 mistakes that women make. I hope this gives you an aha into the communication with your spouse. Now, listen, ladies, this is for you. I am launching the summer camp for Christian wives. This kind of information is what we're going to be sharing. We are going deep on what it takes for you to have the marriage you've always dreamt of. I know, girl, it takes 2 to tango, but you might be able to get the party started. Make sure you head on over to IBelieveInMarriage.com/summercamp. IBelieveInMarriage.com/summercamp. We are starting soon, and I don't want you to miss some of the bonuses that are available for those who register right away. So head on over to IBelieveInMarriage.com/summercamp.